There's this sort of simple explanation that the world is fair and that it's uniform across all individuals. The outcomes that you get are a result of the exact same effort that you put in. And I reflect on this a lot, and I think about how just not true that actually is. And there's like a simple way to do this thought experiment, right? So if you are um, and it's not like the way that you think about, right? And it really is the result of the opportunities that you get, right? So imagine you're just you, a normal person, and you think about all the opportunities that you get, that people give to you, and you likely have every once in a while somebody will sort of open up an opportunity for you, but it's probably like once a year. In my experience, it's like once a year, maybe every other year. It's starting to get a little bit more for me where people will reach out to me because I'm sort of online a little bit. But for the most part, it's like once a year. Before it was like never. Um, but and then I think about, let's go to an extreme, right, where you have Justin Bieber, and Justin Bieber is and I know this is just a simple extreme version. I know it's not representative of most reality, but I want to take it at the extreme. Justin Bieber probably gets about 10,000 emails a day. And each one of those emails is some either a praise, maybe some of them are, maybe 40% are, I don't like you. What are you doing? For no apparent reason. It's just music. And then 60% of those, so 6,000, are I like you in some sort of way. Then of those, there's probably 1,000, I would like to give you something or offer you something. Whether it's from like sex to some opportunity, some business opportunity. And of those, maybe there are 100 that are legitimate opportunities from people that he would like to consider. And then from those, that there's probably 10 that are really spectacular, that you would really consider. It's like, Claudia Schiffer or something, some supermodel reaching out. And, or, whatever. Maybe it's a record label reaching out. And that happens every day to somebody like that. And it's not necessarily that you see that kind of stuff. It's not like it's out in the open. Um, and it's not like it has consequences for, financial returns that are immediate in any sort of way. It does in the long term. And it's not because of, many different other factors that we sort of think about. And that happens every day, right? And it's all invisible. And I think about that all the time, right? So, what are the people, what opportunities do people get because they are who they are versus, the ones that don't get it because they are who they are? There's no reason. So, before, and to give you the contrast, right? Before Justin Bieber became a thing on the internet, when he was 16 years old, he was a nobody. I used to live very close to the community that he grew up in, and there is nothing there. It's a beautiful, beautiful little tiny town, but there's nothing there. It's a nobody. It's like everybody else. And I want you to sort of think about that. And then he wouldn't have gotten any opportunities. Would have probably would have, worked at maybe a convenience store, or maybe he was lucky and he got a job at Ford or Toyota that's in the area, and he would have lived a nice life, other than he kind of had a beautiful voice. I want you to sort of reflect on that. Or maybe he lived a horrible life, right? Like he couldn't get his act together and did drug abuse and just kind of imploded. And I want you to sort of reflect on that life is not fair. Um, it never has been fair, never will be fair, right? We're born into certain circumstances, weird things happen, and there's nothing that you could sort of say on, across the board that things are fair. But what you can do is, given your circumstances, you can make incremental improvements with who you are on a daily basis. And these incremental improvements, they don't maybe mean a lot to a lot of people, but they mean a lot to you. So I think about, say, a bus driver or, a teacher, and, they work their whole life and they have a good retirement at the end of it. And they worked and they saved and they worked and they saved. And, to Justin Bieber or the rest of the world, you look at the bus driver, and the bus driver doesn't look like much. It's like, whatever. But to them, the fact that they did everything right, they can live a happy, healthy, great life for them. And I want you to sort of reflect on that, to be appreciative of the fact that we're here and we are doing the things that we should be doing at this moment. And whatever your journey you're going through, some of us are going through some very dark journeys that are not great. Um, and it depends on the week that you talk to me in terms of the journey that I'm going through. Sometimes it's I'm doing okay, and sometimes it's not so great. But, what I do know is that regardless of how you feel, you get back up and you do it. You just keep doing it every day, and you kind of make something out of it. Um, and then the other thing is that if you do that, right, and you just make those little incremental improvements, you do something magical happens in your life that are good for you, right? So my goal is not to be, Justin Bieber. I'm never going to get there, but I can certainly help do better than what I was and be a better person than what I was last year. And I realized that the better person than what I was might not necessarily be, we think that, hey, we should be spectacularly better. But if I'm 10%, right? So that means next year, or even 3% better. That's pretty darn good, right? 3% isn't matching inflation. So if I'm, and maybe it's even lower than that, 1%, right? I'm just 1% better than what I was last year. So last year, um, I say 1,000 different things, and one of them, this year, I say 1,010 different things, and those 10 different things are something positive in my life, whatever that is. Um, I make, so last year I make $100. This year I make $100 and $101. And that is positive. That is progress. That is good things. That is things that will actually help. And if I do that over the course of a lifetime, I know it's magical because compound interest. But um, on top of that, that gives me hope. That gives me inspiration. That gives me something that I can say that I'm doing a little better than what I was. And so hopefully, if I do a lifetime of this, and yes, there'll reach a time maybe when I'm 50 that things start slowing down. I already feel it. Little things are not working as much as well as they used to. But I can certainly figure out ways to live a better life in other ways. And maybe my cognitive facilities, like my mental capacity just diminishes completely. Well, maybe I just learn to appreciate who I am. And maybe they depreciate so badly that I'm just angry at the world, and everything is just not great, right? And I just have just not a good thing going on. Well, I sure as hell hope I'm going to keep trying to do something, do better, make a message. I think about, people like Michael J. Fox, right? Like most people would have given up with Parkinson's and been like, or just have been like, nah, I don't want to deal with this. But here's a person that's fought his whole life against some disease that is taking over his body. And I think that that is a positive thing. I think aiming for that little bit of improvement, regardless of how it feels and how slow it is, and how just most of the time nobody cares, you get up and you do it anyways. And I think that's the message. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.